Day 7, January Prayer and Fasting, and we're in Leviticus 7. This is a summary. Now, this includes more details about the peace offering, and you were to have like a wave offering using leavened and unleavened bread. Remember, leaven was connected to sin, so most of the all the offerings that are to be burnt on the altar were not to have leaven. But for things not to be burnt on the offering altar, like wave offering and heave and the peace offering, you could have the leaven. So this represents, so the priest had to hold in one hand leaven and the other hand unleavened. So this represents what some will say it represents New Testament, how Jesus was it here, how Jesus Christ himself is our peace because of the sacrifice he made of his own flesh. Also is connecting the fact of Jesus Christ made peace between Jew and Gentile, breaking down the wall from previously separated. So that this summary goes on to give more details about the different types of so with chapter 5 it was given the reason for this peace offering and the trespass offering, whereas chapter 7 is giving you more details about what to do when you're doing the trespass offering or the peace offering. And we know there was reasons, those things about not to have the blood again, and it was telling you also about the portions of the fat and the things to go to the Levites. And remember, the Levites, so they didn't get no land, whereas all the other tribes, they got land, because the Levites would be getting lots of meat from these offerings. So some people could think that's unfair, but remember, the Levites didn't get no land. So this is about them getting meat and and some people link that to also in New Testament, where it's like those serving God, you need to make provisions for them as well, kind of thing. So a summary of this chapter 7, a trespass is a particular kind of sin where you've crossed God's boundaries. We talked about chapter 5. We talked about the peace offering ceremony not offered upon the altar, so we talked about that. Then peace offering using leaven, talked about that. And then what to eat, we talked about as another peace offering could be made for a few different reasons. Yeah, so for Thanksgiving or for vow or voluntary offering. So the peace offering, sometimes they'll be thanking God that he's provided grain, he's provided rain, he's provided food for their bellies and things like that. And then they had to be clean. Only clean people could eat. If you weren't clean and you partaken in this, and there was rules on when to eat it as well. You couldn't eat on the third day. You had to eat on the same day, except if it was a voluntary offering, then you could also eat on the second day, but never the third day. And if you're unclean, then you could be kicked out of this whole camp and stuff like that, excommunicated. What else did we have? So all who could talk about all who could. So also being clean is also seen as in nowadays would be like you can't get you cannot enjoy the peace of God until you receive this cleansing grace as well. So then there was process we talked about on what the fat to give, the breast, the thighs, we went into details, and of course not to eat the blood. And then there's a nice little passage here about how Jesus Christ has fulfilled every single sacrifice, because remember chapter 1 to 6 was all about the different types of sacrifices, or 1 to 5. So we had Jesus, chapter Leviticus 1, the burnt offering, and it says, as Christ also has loved us and given himself for us, an offering and a sacrifice to God for a sweet smelling aroma. Leviticus 2 was about the first fruits of the grain offering. So it says, but now Christ has risen from the dead and has become the first fruits of those who have fallen asleep. 1 Corinthians. Then Leviticus 3 was about the peace offering. Therefore, having been justified by faith, we have peace with God through our Lord Jesus Christ. Romans 5:1. Then Jesus fulfilled the sin offering. Leviticus 4, for he made him who knew no sin to be sin for us, that we might become the righteousness of God in him. 2 Corinthians 5:21. Then Leviticus 5 about the guilt offering, who was delivered up because of our offenses and was raised because of our justification. Romans 4:25. So you make his soul an offering for sin. Isaiah 53:10. So Jesus Christ has fulfilled every sacrifice for his people. He's the burnt offering, the meat offering, the peace offering, the sin offering, and the trespass offering for his people. By his one oblation of himself once offered, he has stood in all these different relations, one commentator says. And in Hebrews 10:10, we have been sanctified through the offering of the body of Jesus Christ once and for all.